resorting to certain practices within indigenous religion. And so that becomes another support, creates another support mechanism when it comes to dealing with these situations of crisis. And it's just as appropriate for some people that I know to include Christianity as well as one of the support mechanisms. You know, it works. It's like the best of both worlds, really. You know, you can get both.
And you referred earlier to Achebe's book,
yes.
Things Fall Apart.
Yes.
And the main character there seemed to always, it seemed to be the characters in that book, things, if God looked upon man with disfavor or favor, that's how it was explained.
Say that again.
Well, if something favorable happened,
yes,
that was attributable to a specific or particular God,
yes,
looking upon that person or that family or something going on in the tribe,
yes,
with favor,
yes,
in a positive way.
yes.
If something was going wrong, there was another God, or possibly the same God, who was looking upon the individual, the family, or the tribe with disfavor.
Yes, and there was always a reason for it. Is that Western
mind interpreting what I read in the book, or is that an accurate understanding?
No, that's an accurate understanding. Yeah, yeah.
And so in that regard, as you say, Christianity is compatible. It can be integrated along with the indigenous religion.
It can be, and some people do it, you know, but this is something that theologians, I think, have difficulty with dealing with on the continent, because theologians end up with labels that I just referred to as religious schizophrenia or religious double-mindedness, whereas some people will be perfectly at ease, you know, integrating or trying to integrate both perspectives, which regards to specific instances in lives.
Thank you very much for all for your talk. It was enlightening and made me even much more curious about Africa than I have been. So two things sort of related. One is I'm curious about the relationships between the various Christian traditions in Africa on these issues that you described about engagement in politics. And then secondly, I'm just curious whether the example of Bishop Archbishop Desmond Tutu offers an example or some sort of a model for the type of engagement that you have in mind.
Yes, I will take the last part first of Desmond Tutu in South Africa. And I think that relates very, very specifically to what I said, you know, about the positive engagement that some religious bodies have had in the public sphere. And you have people like Desmond Tutu who stand up, and there are similar church leaders who stand up as having a positive engagement with the political establishment and serving really in the very real sense of the term as the voice or the conscience of society. You know, so yes, that's a very, very difficult, it's a very clear example of the kind of what religion can achieve through leaders who possess a certain moral standing in society and also courage in addressing very, very difficult political issues. In terms of the relationships between bodies, Christian bodies, it varies from country to country, and I don't want to generalize. There are instances of a much more harmonious relationship, and I'll take the example, of Zambia. I referred to the situation of Chiluba. That was a situation that, the response to that kind of situation was much more harmonious from the religious bodies in Zambia. The Catholic Church and the Zambian Christian churches really did work together to oppose that kind of situation. But there are other situations where that political issues really divide the Christian communities. And one very current example is the situation we have in Kenya. We're in the process of developing a new constitution. And there are issues in this constitution that are contested. And these issues have become points of division amongst Christian churches and bodies, those who favor and those who don't. So, as I said earlier on, it's very difficult to forge a common voice. And I can go back also to the crisis of last year in Kenya, where we had violence after restricted elections, again where there was a lot of tension and division among the churches. And in that particular instance, the general perception is that what was the underlying cause of that division was really ethnic affiliation. That tribal affiliation was the underlying cause of the division. So that plays into that situation in the case of Kenya. Like I said, it varies from countries to countries. Thank you.
You've answered the question.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Lee.
Thank you very much for helping me connect with what's going on in Kenya. The examples from Kenya very much in terms of me. Two questions. One, to what extent would you say insights from indigenous African religions could be useful in kind of smoothing or helping out some of the complications in the African conflicts? I'm thinking, for example, in Kenya, the emergence of the so-called Council of Elders that used to be part of the governance in most of the ethnic groups. They're emerging and kind of adding their voice to the current debates. The second question or comment is to do with the challenges that you put at the end of your talk. You said one of the challenges is the seeming ambiguity and enduring ambiguity. When the churches become blatantly partisan, as they have been with the referendum debates. They have, even when they were divided before, they have kind of come together and zero in on the two contentious issues. The Harvey Court thing, suggesting that this is something about Christianity versus Islam, and the abortion debates. There is that blatant partisanship, and yet you are calling for the church to begin or to construct itself as more effectively as a voice of conscience. Would that partisanship undermine their moral authority then to be a correct thing?
Thank you very much. I will speak to the first question first. I know I have a bias here, and I will confess that very readily, again, because of my religious history and background. I honestly believe that, in a very real sense, the advent of Christianity, and I speak in religious terms now, was quite detrimental, to the continent, in a very real sense. Because I believe there are structures, there are practices, there are approaches within indigenous religious traditions that provide ways and means of responding to so many of the difficulties that we face on the continent. I strongly believe that. You just mentioned one of them. I know there's a tendency to say that this is harking back to the past, and I don't think it is. I mean, there's something deeply ingrained in me as an African that I have received from my indigenous religious background that I think and I believe equips me to deal with certain issues that I face in society. And it's rather unfortunate that when Christianity came, some of these practices were branded as pagan, to use the word. There were approaches to reconciliation. There are approaches to reconciliation that could be very, very effective.